The fourth shadow that I find very operative, have found less so now, operative in myself, is something I hear whenever I talk about these things. And that's what Caroline Mace so brilliantly calls woundology. I hear people, and I love them, and I accept them, and I know they're speaking from their truth, get up and say how impossible it is for them to read the papers, or how impossible for them it is to go out for more than 2 hours a day from their gated condo into the real world, because they are so sensitive and because they've been through so much. And what I want to do is to grab them by the hand and take them to the groups in Rwanda that I've worked with who survived gang rape and who are still living on $1 a day. And after then, we're going to the slum in Nairobi. And then after the slum in Nairobi, we're going to walk the streets of Calcutta where people are dying on the streets because they have nothing, because the system we've created has created nothing for them. And after this little trip, which I will pay for, I'm going to ask them very tenderly, do you really believe that your wounds, however deep, are as terrible as the wounds that 2 billion people, at least at this moment, are experiencing as normal violations every single day? When will you stop reciting your humiliations, your pains, your karmic difficulties, the fact that your mother was a nuisance and your father was dictatorial? When will you stop making excuses for doing the inner work and turning up in real, radical, humble service? Because I'm sure that if I'm bored by this, God must be worse than bored by this. Right? And I'm bored by my own woundology, because I have a whole parade of wounds that I can parade to say, God, let them get on with it. I don't want to be a part of all of this. I'll go and sit and write haiku. My favorite inner escape is to go and be a disreputable Englishman in a white suit swigging from a silver bottle on the beaches of Rio. That's my auto persona. Like a character out of Graham Greene, you know. I would be good at that, I think. That's in my head, that's where I go to. But when you really look, how many conversations in the course of life, especially in America, which specializes in woundology like it specializes in denial, how many conversations you have with incredibly privileged people center on the misery and torment and neurosis of their lives and how difficult it has all been, while the Chardonnay is chilled and the amazing meat has been sizzling in the oven and everything is running very smoothly, and the Colombian maid, who's being very underpaid, is bringing in the third dessert. You know this kind of stuff goes on, don't you? That's part of narcissism. A certain amount of healing of inner wounds can take place, but the full healing will never take place until you recognize that there are far deeper, far more terrible wounds, even than you have suffered in the world, and until you have dedicated your whole life to serving the healing of those wounds. That's when the real healing takes place. So you cannot heal your inner wounds by paying narcissistic concentration and indulging in whole litanies of woundology and not doing anything for others. You can only in the end begin to do that final healing by recognizing the agony that others are going through and pouring out your resources to help. That's what really heals. But if we go make our wounded into a kind of privilege of specialness, then it becomes the most dangerous form of narcissism, which actually makes you into a selfish, spoiled bore, unable to relate to far greater wounds that need your resources or your creativity to heal.